Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring that we rule them all. Hope you'll remember your towel. Get your Ulu feathers and your middle guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to count. To the pit tank. To the pit tank. The Rocky Mountain pit tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
And this is
You're For the Meeple, by the Meeple sized podcast.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about conventions and what we're going to do in the 2021 era as we come out of COVID. And that's what we've got. We've got a couple of special guests today. We've got Dustin Hatchett and Matthew. And I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I'm very horrible. I was going to ask you.
It's pronounced Gamers Giving.
Right. So right Matthew there. Giving. And now that's and then now you're stuck with it. So, but both of these people are convention folk, obviously. Dustin is with Shiny Garden, and Matthew Giving is with Gamers Giving. That'll get you all confused. So thank you for joining us today, gentlemen. Can you guys hear me? Are we
absolutely
good?
Happy to be here talking about conventions, because I mean that's what we like to do, and we're almost back. We're almost ready to go.
We almost tasted.
Right? We're so close. We're so close. So okay, so you last week, if you all remember, I actually read Dustin's post verbatim on air because it was particularly funny and very prescient about how the fall is already lining up to be a complete and total disaster area of all these conventions clumped onto all the weekends left. So Dustin, go on ahead and tell us a little bit about what you had posted, since that was what started this whole mess.
You know, and it's amazing. We've had 102 comments on it. I just want to start by saying that people care. People care about getting together.
Yeah.
People care about seeing each other. There's a thing about con family, right? There's a lot of times, these are the only times you get to see these people, but they're family, even though you only see them maybe 4 times a year or maybe even once a year. But when you get into that space, it's glorious. And as an extrovert, I need to recharge so bad. Oh man, I am waiting for cons. And so the list starts out with a camping convention outdoors, playing D&D and Pathfinder for Savage Worlds on a tabletop. So we're doing this weird social distancing thing. I'm telling people, like, maybe we're not going to be able to play in your RVs this year, but we still can get have a campfire going, and on a park bench and lots of tables we bring up, we can still roll some dice. So we're going to try a soft start there in July. And then from July, it's breakneck speed, because all the national conventions had decided to take all the dates that normally the local regional conventions do. They just jumped right on them. And yeah, all the summer cons smashed into fall. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. So that's what's going down. And it really hit when Gen Con, well, let me preface that. Origins moved from June into October, came in at the end of fall. Now I feel bad for Origins, because they're like one of the last kind of ones, because everyone jumped in before them and now have done this. And it's going to be fascinating to see certain cons. We're never going to see this again. Where Gen Con may end up only being 20,000 people. It hasn't been that since it was in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And but yet Origins, because they are booking out rooms, planned ahead, had dealers pay, they may be bigger than Gen Con. So how does one adapt to that as both a volunteer, as a vendor? as someone just being a participant. And that's why I think it's good that we're all chit-chatting about this. It's something we all need to kind of hash out in our heads.
I agree. So Matthew, you're joining us for the first time, and this is the first time actually you and I have met. So tell us a little bit about what you do in the convention universe, and what your outlook is here for 2021 as things start opening back up.
Not a problem. So Dustin talked a little bit about the Con family and what Gamers Giving is a charity that really encompasses what that Con family is. What we do is we are a 501c3 that raises that's based here in Denver, and we are helping out gamers in the area at Denver. So whenever we're at these cons and we are saying, hey, this is the person that we're helping in this year, 9 times out of 10, I have people go, oh no, wait, I know that person. I see that person. I see that person at Starfest every year. Oh, I know that person. I see that person at Genghis Khan every year. And they were like, what's going on with them? And then we tell them what's going on, and they decide if they can donate. Great.
Are we all having
if
problems?
Not, sometimes they donate
I don't
time.
know if you guys were having the same problems I was having there.
No, we were all good. You just kind of blipped a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, everything you said, Matthew, I was able to hear, and I believe Troy was good.
Yeah, I think Guy is vanishing. Now, we have had a situation, even though Guy is running the show, I think we've had a situation where he has dropped out, but the show keeps going.
Yeah,
and then we just wait for him to come back.
The show goes on.
Oh, yeah. He's unfrozen.
He has.
He's working on it.
Yep. Guy.
When you have that many tabs open in Chrome, bad things happen. Chrome is a memory hog. If you have more than 5 tabs, you're at 12 meg. Slow down.
Well, he's only trying to watch like every episode of Star Trek simultaneously.
That's usually what happens. And I said 12 meg like I'm old school. It's actually 12 gig, right? Right.
No more floppy disks.
No.
So getting back on with Gamers Giving, first time I met you guys, I believe it was Whimsicon, or it was one of those connected to, which one was it?
I thought it was Hexacon.
It might have been Hexacon, but I know right at the end of the year, right at the beginning of the year, just before COVID had actually taken off.
January was Hexacon.
Right? That's when it was.
We got the con in, and then everything shut down.
Yep. So that's I think that's the one and only time actually I've met you, but I got to see Gamers Giving in action there. And was there a convention a few months before that Gamers Giving was at?
We are generally, so the one that I think that you're thinking of is BCon, I believe.
Maybe. Yeah.
But we're generally at most of the cons here in Denver.
Yeah, it was great. It's a nice little system lined up where you go through, and they had the little barcodes on the games and scanned them. So, but yeah, and then there were various game giveaways like the play to win type stuff, which was really cool.
Yeah, what goes into a game library is underappreciated. The logistics, the care, the storage, the transport, and what Gamers Giving does is an incredible resource to the community.
So we talk with the different publishers, and many times they'll send us games to put in our library just because they want people to play them and decide whether, oh, I like this, let me go get it. So one thing that happens whenever we go to the conventions and we bring our board game library, the first thing people do is they look and try to see what the new games are. So we try to keep it up to date, and yeah.
Are you back with this guy?
I think he's still having technical difficulties.
I think he is. Yep. Cool. So what convention are you looking forward to most this year? I know that's a tough one.
I'm having issues.
Well, yeah, but that's your personal life.
We call that normally baggage, and right now you have as much baggage as 747. It's okay. You can land when you're able. You can land when you're able. Okay, I think you're doing pretty good. You're not totally frozen.
Well, and I'm really every it's actually really sad. Every time Matthew starts talking, it drops out. And I'm like, so I've missed everything he said.
So basically,
Literally
it's me. I'm the
everything
problem.
he said. It's really sad.
You have to open up your
Right?
your
I'm
phone.
starting to like wonder what does my computer have against you, man?
have
What's
no
going
idea.
on?
No.
But I don't know what's happening.
It
but
is your
keeps saying that
computer.
My internet's unstable, so
well, there's a lot of things
I may have
unstable in this
to
world right now.
sit here
It's
and look
okay.
important and let Troy run the show.
You have to open up your phone and watch along on Facebook, and then that way you can listen to what Matthew's
And just
saying.
don't be on Wi-Fi in your house. Be on the separate cell network so you don't bring your
That's what I'm
unstable
thinking.
internet down anymore.
Oh, cool. So what I was going to ask is, which convention are you looking forward to most this month? And we can start with you, Dustin, or not month. Sorry, this year.
Oh no, start with Matthew. I'm
Okay.
curious. I am fundamentally curious.
So
If I'm
the
gonna
one I'm
freeze,
looking
I might as well
forward
freeze
to most this
interestingly.
year is not the one that I normally look forward to the most. I'm looking forward to NDK the most this year. And the reason why I'm looking forward to NDK for the most this year is because, well, it's first. And just like Dustin said earlier, there's a lot of people that I haven't seen for a very long time. And I'm looking forward to getting back in the community and finding out what's going on with everyone.
Well, and what's nice about NDK, it's in the Gaylord, so even if we still have social distance gone, there's a lot of distance to be social there. So I think we're good.
Yes.
Yeah, we should all be able to fit in the Gaylord. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm pretty sure that I will be done with my vaccine, so I'll be fine with whatever convention I go to after that. So, so do you have a one that you're particularly excited about, Dustin, for this year?
What was amazing is last year, I would say I was going to be most excited about doing Gen Con. It was going to be a back-to-back Gen Cons for me with a lot of work and a lot of stuff. And having the train derail the way that it did was brutal for everything I was doing. So trying to pick up the pieces from that, it was like 100 train cars spilling coal everywhere, still trying to pick it up. And so it would be Gen Con, right? Is what I'm most excited about. However, Gen Con is now in the middle of everything, and I've got like 2 days on either side of it to travel to all the other cons. So now I'm dreading it the most. So that's my problem right now. Because and if we go there, are we going to be in these cavernous halls of the Indianapolis Convention Center and Lucas Oil Stadium staring at walls because it's, it's almost not enough time to plan. Usually Gen Con is a year-to-year thing. You know what you're doing at the next Gen Con at the previous Gen Con. And wow, to get it ramped up, to get it going right now, that's one reason why, Chelsea isn't around this evening. She's working on stuff because of those things. I mean, seriously.
Right.
By the way, did I mention the fact that the Colts have a home game
Yeah,
that weekend?
I think the
Yes.
So Lucas Oil Field, it's not going to be available.
oh, that's gonna be wild.
Yeah, and they use it. I mean, Gen Con, that's where all the
that's
big
rough.
miniatures are at. That's where the LARP is at, all the laser tag. They use that whole field straight through. And for those folks not to be there, it's cutting off that fair atmosphere that because that being out on the 50-yard line, they actually keep a little opening so you can stand on the AstroTurf and stand in the middle of it. I'm a football fan, so I was like, oh, the stadium that Peyton built. Oh, yes. And not to have that, that's brutal too.
So I think Guy was trying to say something, but he has like kind of a time
He froze
delay.
again.
Yeah.
Yep. He just needs to get on his phone.
What's weird is I am totally seeing what's going on my phone. And I'm reading the captions real time and everything. And I'm looking over here and I'm like, I've got my Wi-Fi up on my
Go,
Yeah,
go
I've
reboot
got to.
your
I mean,
modem
I think really we're just at a
and
point where I
cuddle
think
it
for
and
some
hug
reason
it and say you love
you're
it.
like, do
while
it
it's
now.
rebooting. While it's rebooting.
It might be a situation where you just need to
Yeah, it's
do the
so
old
weird.
restart of the computer.
Mhm.
Turn it off and on again.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Just
Remember,
boot everything
I
down, restart the whole 9 yards.
I do IT infrastructure for Amazon as my day job. What's the number one thing to do? Did we power cycle the thing? Power cycle is the very nice term of saying, yeah, hit that button.
Did you turn it off and then on again? Yep.
You're doing pretty good now.
It's all right.
Your audio's good.
We're doing
so.
great now all of a sudden. And I can see it over here. We're doing fine. It's fascinating.
Mhm.
I don't get it. So you were talking a little bit about that and about the time it takes. We routinely say at NDK that it takes 18 months to plan a convention.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're already working this convention and have been for since the beginning of COVID. We've just been kind of cruising on it. It's given us great time to think things out, but it's it's the move to the Gaylord. It's a big deal.
Yeah, moving to the big hotel and having the extra time, I don't think has been necessarily a disadvantage either. It's given you some breathing room.
It has not. It has.
The other interesting,
it's been good for us.
The other thing about NDK, because I used to run the dealer's room with my wonderful wife, who allows me to do this craziness at NDK, is those dealers really are on a circuit. I mean, they go weekend to weekend. They're moving. They pack up a van and they're on to the next show. And to have all the shows this close together. And what's fascinating is all of these shows had said to the vendors, hey, can we keep your money? And the vendors like, yeah, sure, we'll go. What's fascinating, though, is now that they've all moved their dates, completely messed up the circuit, where you can literally go around the United States and do the loop. It's this year is going to be rough.
Yeah, one of our friends we know goes by Toy Magnus.
Yeah, I'm worried about that.
Yeah, one of our friends we know goes by Toy Magnus runs an actual location, brick and mortar location, in addition to hitting conventions. So I'm sure there's a lot of conventions that will have to just fall out of the rotation because of not being able to shut down the store for multiple days back to back like that.
And then as industry, your street dates, when you're going to get stuff out, when you're going to present it. You saw the mess that Hollywood is, right? I mean, you had toys in Walmart promoting movies that have now gone to Disney Plus. That whole chain of events, all of the merchandising, all of the promotions, that happens in anime, huge. And it throws it off to try to get the word out and get buzz going. Same with gaming. So even though NDK and game conventions are serving different communities, they have the same infrastructure that they rely on. And that infrastructure is completely messed up. As we're talking about this, of course, we got a container ship sideways in the Suez Canal that's forcing ships to, go around the Horn of Africa. So, yeah, this has been a weird year for getting things where they need to go too.
It's been rough. It's been really wild. I don't even know. I actually, for the first time, had Amazon refund my money on a thing. And I was like, I've never had that happen before, but because they couldn't get it to me.
The supply chains are broke because they're not having their normal cycles. It's fascinating. The past decade, computers have been building algorithms to tell us how to move product and how to get things from point A to point Z. And we got it down to a science. And then the derailment of COVID is intensified because we relied on all these systems to tell us where the things were going instead of having contingency plans when something like this would happen. So we're learning a lot as a society too.
Geek Tank was actually really lucky in the aspect that we had decided, I guess I'd say October of 2020, No, just
2019.
or 2019. Yeah, 2019. That we didn't want to drive in the snow when it got really bad. So we started figuring out how to do all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Chelsea living, we all live at like a huge triangle really far away. So we meet in a midpoint that takes us each about a half hour to drive. And we're like, well, when it's snowing, why don't we just get online and do this? And then when it hit us, we were already set up and had most of the tech figured out. I wouldn't say all of it. But.
And I know,
but
Matthew,
we did have it set up that way.
Yeah, I know, Matthew, you are, intertwined with some of the other stuff in the gaming industry and, things like that. What else has affected you personally in all this?
Well, one of the big things that affects us is we're set up to raise money at conventions and at events. So the money that we raised for people suddenly went dry. So we had to look at people and say, hey, we can't help as much as we did. With some of the things that the people who we were trying to raise money for, they were really in need, and we just took the money out of our own pockets so that we could make sure that they were in a situation where they could survive. And this pandemic has been hard on everyone. And when we're talking about members of our own community who they're struggling to be able to eat, it makes it even more important for us to be able to take care of our own.
Well, and that's one thing about geek culture that I think people now really appreciate, to take a line from like Black Eyed Peas, we're one tribe. It's that song rings true. It came on on my Spotify the other day, and Tambry and I were listening to it, and we're like, that's kind of the conventions. That's it speaks to us in that way, and that's what hurts is we're all reeling from it. So then we're all bouncing off of each other, reeling from it, and it creates this, group funk. And we're almost there.
We're almost there, just a little longer. Yeah, I agree. I think I've been worried a lot. I've been hearing a lot of what Matthew's talking about, people getting to the point where they're struggling to get food and struggling to just the basic necessities to get through the day. And that's really rough. And so it's kind of good to know that there are people out there whose job, they've taken on the job of being doing that kind of work. So thank you, Jim. And thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. I hope he's not frozen. Oh, he's not frozen. Okay, good. I'm like, everybody's freezing on me. So I'm like, am I talking to the wall again? No, we're running good
now. Everything's smooth. Everything's silk. And now
you're
taunting perfectly. I can hear you. It's great.
Way to jinx it.
Yeah, right. If it freezes, we blame Dustin.
That'd be fine.
You're like, I'm okay with that.
Oh, there we go. Blame Scorch. Blame Scorch.
Right, Scorch. Good old Scorch.
Well, in fairness, most things are Scorch's fault.
They are.
It's true.
Yes.
It's a true.
I was gonna say before we freeze up and everything crashes, maybe you should run our sponsor ticker.
I should.
Then.
I'll do that real quick. Let's do that. Let's make sure we can click the right thing. Okay. As always, Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, Shiny Garden, and Your Mom. Thank you very much for all of our sponsors who are sponsoring us through patreon.com. So if you want to help and sponsor us, you too can help by going to patreon.com/Foxblade. Okay, we'll go back to the show now. I really am getting like my timing and mojo is thrown off by being stalled all the time. Oh, Brent's here. Hey, Brent.
Howdy there, Brent.
Sorry. There we go. I don't know if you can see over there on the right. You can click on the comments tab there, Matthew, and you can see what Brent's saying.
Yep. And then if you wanted to respond by typing, you'll want to make sure you click on where it says all and click the actual appropriate media. I'm not even sure if you can comment because
this has been like
I actually don't have the ability to comment.
Okay. I didn't think you did, but I've never been on the
it's
other
just
end,
us.
so I don't know.
We should. It's just us that can.
With
Because we're the showrunners.
mediocre power comes mediocre responsibility.
I know, right? We definitely have mediocre power. If ever there was a people who had a mediocre power, it's us.
Yeah, I don't know if Brent. I'm sure Brent and Matthew have been in the same room because he runs a lot of Star Wars Legion at the game at the cons.
We have absolutely been in the same room.
Yes,
Nice.
and see, that's it, right? There's a tribe that here we are. We're doing our thing. So yeah. I know Brett wants to get some minis on the table and get playing.
Mm-hmm. And which is hard to do virtually.
Right? I have a new printer.
3D printer.
I have a new printer now, and I'm looking forward to getting. So, I just had another one of those like stalling moments, and looking over at the Wi-Fi, I noticed that it's like perfectly straight. Then all of a sudden, it dips down.
Are
and that's
you
when
sure
I
your
stall
family
out.
is
And it
just not
does
like
spikes.
streaming something and just messing
somebody
you up?
playing
That's what I
World of
think is
Warcraft?
happening. I think that's exactly what's occurring. Except that they're probably playing like World of Warcraft on remote, where they have to download the whole thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's exactly what's going on.
They're playing a game where they're going around the house finding every Wi-Fi device and activating it and downloading it stuff at the same time.
Yep.
So one thing that I was kind
Right.
of surprised at that I don't know if there were more cons doing this than just ReaperCon, but doing a lot more trying to get more virtual with it to make up for it. And something that I think conventions should try to do is find at least a little bit of that aspect, because I think you're going to have, even this year with the vaccines coming out, a hesitancy of people to attend. And if they could attend, even if it's in some minor virtual way, so they can see all the fun and how safe it is, that should hopefully help the numbers next year.
Well, we're going to be actively with a lot of the
It's not
different
a bad idea.
conventions that I'm a part of. We're going to try to, truly reach out and say, hey, we've got these policies in place. We've got these thoughts. And we will work with you to make it as comfortable as possible, just like every other business has had to. Now, Matthew and I were talking before the show that there may be some cons because they're in different states. I mean, each con may have to pivot differently depending on what's happening. So that's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out as well.
Yeah, guy's from Texas, so he knows all about different.
Well, you just came up from the great freeze of Texas, right? And maybe that's why it's still freezing. Maybe it's just there you go.
There you go. I came up here and then it blizzarded on me again. And then I'm like, really? Really? Yeah. So that was fun.
We're looking at, we've got the BBG Con. Matthew, have you been able to do BBG Con in the past?
BGG Con?
Yeah, Board Game Geek Con.
Yeah.
In Dallas.
I've only done it once, and it's, how can I put this? If I were to take everything about Gen Con that I love and stick it in a con, and then scale things down so that all the annoyances that I don't want to deal with aren't in the con, that's BGG Con.
So they're in November. They've stuck to their dates. They're 5 days of gaming. I'm thinking they're going to be the winners in this. I think people may hesitate a little bit for August, may try and then you're trying to figure out. The other thing is fall with school, right? School's going to come in full force, not online anymore. That's going to be like a brick wall for some families. They may not just have the bandwidth to do the cons when they're trying to figure out now life is normal. Clunk. What does that feel like? Adding cons to it may be difficult.
Well, not just sending their kids back to school, but sending their kids back to school without vaccines, because child vaccines aren't coming until 2021.
Yeah.
So the rules that are going to be in place in the schools for them to be able to function, that's going to be rough.
No, and I appreciate you know, all the gamers who are dealing with their kids at this point in time. I mean, Guy's frozen. So I was going to point in, and Matthew, I'm not a father, but I can only imagine how you keep your kids engaged and just enjoying life during something like this. And then we got to keep them engaged for the next generation of con goers. Keeping that going, trying to find all that. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting, rough start, but man, 2022, 2023, I think is going to feel like the roaring 20s, right? We're going to just, it's going to explode.
Oh, yeah.
Now we just have to figure out how it's going to explode and not make another train wreck mess somewhere.
Yeah, have to watch out for the ones that have
Or
like
lose a whole bunch of
backwash
conventions on the
Mm-hmm.
right. But we've also got to, like, you know, make sure that we don't lose our cons in the middle here.
Well, we had an interesting one where, you know, Denver Pop Culture Con just got taken over by Fan Expo. There will be a consolidation because there will be. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's a big saturation of conventions when you look at them at state, regional, national level.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt to have a little consolidation. But you also don't want to lose the vibe of a good con either if it gets wrapped into a consolidation.
Yeah, I think that by the way, that was news for everybody, because I was actually going to talk about that too, because that's an interesting thing as well. That we're losing DPCC, which went from DCC to DPCC, and now it's going to all these other. It's like this evolution to that.
Yeah,
it's a monster.
But we're getting a dragon, and it's turning into a Hydra. So that's going to be a huge show. Having a fan,
and all you can say is Hail Hydra at that point.
You're supposed to whisper it.
Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra. This is our tribe, guys. That's what we do. I'm just saying. Leave us alone, and we're going to all sit there and make jokes like that. That's just what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean that is also a thing that's in this turmoil. We're coming out into 2021, and we're going to come out with a new revamped DPCC, which any convention here already sees DPCC as the elephant in the room. And they got there suddenly. We were the biggest con up until DPCC came around. You know, NDK was the biggest monster until then. And that was kind of weird because we were, see, I'm going to start freezing up again. I can see because I'm doing the little dippy thing over here. I've got my Wi-Fi now out on this monitor. So I'm watching to see when it freezes.
Are you
so I can sit here
in, or is this all Wi-Fi?
It's all Wi-Fi. I can't get to the router from up here. So I have to use the Wi-Fi, but it's not. This is my router not responding, and I don't know what's going on with my router. So I think Dustin's right. It's time to go downstairs and boot the router. But it could be my child downstairs on excess YouTube. There have been times where I've gone downstairs and he's got YouTube running, his iPad's running a different YouTube, and he's playing on his Switch. And
he's running them all 4K just to make sure they look good.
They got to look good, right?
They got to look good.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Running 4K on an iPad. I mean, there you go. Yay.
You can't. How can you not have that?
1080 and 4K.
Yeah, Brent's like,
same on the iPad.
Brent's like, you got to go wired there. Yeah, I totally do. I actually think that's the next thing I'm going to try to do is try to actually run a Cat 5 line up here somehow.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that. I can run some conduit for you. So.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool, actually. I might just take you up on that.
I've got a Star Trek.
If this keeps up,
I got Star Trek fleet captains that I need to deliver to you anyway. So.
Ooh, yes.
Yes.
That's a good one. That's important.
I'm saying that because what's frustrating about this is during the lack of cons, some people have passed away that are a con family that we weren't able to see. And now we're having this hole, right? And when we get, I haven't said a thing about Hexacon in this entire conversation, but I know in January we're going to do something cool for all those people who are not at Hexacon, right? We
that
just
we've
have
lost.
to. Yeah, we have to. And we'll make it a point to do something.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to paint some of those ships in that individual's memory.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's important.
Yeah, it just is. I've been doing the convention scene now for basically since I was a kid, and there have been people who have inspired me for all these years. And when we lose the just going back to John and Ken and Dean and Clay and Randy, I'm dropping a bunch of names that people go, oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't need to use their last names, right? They're our con family.
Right.
We're like, oh yeah, I know who exactly you're talking about because they made such an influence. And it's for us to keep the cons going after this for those folks who gave us this gift.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Rebellious Pat Pastry out there who's joining us from YouTube. So hello there. Welcome to the show again. And yeah, I agree. I mean, all those people we've lost. And I mean, there's been so much loss in 2020. And it's just so rough.
And it's okay to acknowledge it because acknowledging it means we're going to appreciate everything so much more.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. When the cons come back, man, the hugs are going to be real.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It isn't just free hugs anymore. It's required hugs. Yeah.
Required hugs.
Mm-hmm.
No free hugs.
Yeah. I don't want to give any spoilers
hugs
to anything specifically, but a really cool TV show recently had the quote, "What is grief if not persevering?"
Man, what a great line in that show.
It's fantastic, and
absolutely
almost the entire geek community, I'm sure, will embrace that because it is really powerful.
If the show doesn't win an Emmy for, in writing for that line alone, being able to codify that thought, yes. Yep. Old softy there, Troy. You're right there with me where I shed a tear.
Yep.
Yeah, that one hit us all. It really. My wife and I are watching that episode, and wow, what a line! I mean, it just was overwhelming. We ended up watching that episode again because we had to get through that line, right? Yeah. Yep. And that's the con family. We'll persevere because God, there's a lot of love in these cons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you said, it's more family than family sometimes. So it's the family you choose.
Yeah. That's the thing about humans. We pick our family. Yeah.
Rebellious Pastry there. I am so touch starved. No doubt.
Right.
Yeah. Guy and I haven't touched each other for years. Oh, wait. But that's too much.
Right. I know.
What were you saying there, Matthew?
TMI, man. TMI.
No, I was just saying human contact. I mean, we are the people that everybody kind of like throws a side eye at, but we're also the people that when we get together, we are the most. It's more like family.
Genuine.
And whenever you're not seeing that family, whenever there are people that you haven't heard about in a year and a half. You have no idea what's going on with them. And just being able to have human contact again is something that I feel like we're all just going to go overboard.
Convention folks are like veterans who have gone on deployments together. They develop a bond. We deployed to that con, whether it was as a participant, as a staff member, as a volunteer, and we made it through the 3 to 4 days of that deployment, and we made it out the other side, and it was glorious. Yes, you build some incredible bonds by doing that. Having those microcosms of 96 hours of intensity is more than you get at a 40-hour week job.
It's true.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think so too.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
And
keep
we lost
looking at my
Frizzell.
screen to see what you're saying.
Oh,
No, I'm still here.
aha! That was me. That was me. I was gonna say, if only we had had that part of the podcast 15 minutes later, we could have rapped on it, and it would have been the perfect ending.
Well,
So
I'm not a host. I'm
Right? That would have
sorry.
made a great
edit that in
ending
post, guy.
thing.
Edit that in post.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Right. I'll
yeah.
just edit that in post.
I'm a sales guy. I do things pretty quick. I'm just saying. I get to the point. I get it done. I'm a blunt instrument. Everyone knows that in this room, definitely.
Yeah. Speaking of, Guy's definition of TMI actually is touch me intimately, if anybody was wondering. So.
Just saying.
Yeah, just saying.
That's what I was saying to Troy.
Yeah. Yeah, when we had to cancel the mass Twister contest because of COVID. So there was never a Twister contest. But once I made the joke, everybody was like, well, now we need to buy 50 Twister mats and put them all together and have a giant Twister contest.
There was a
Together.
there's an amazing con where I played this role-playing game called Tales from the Floating Vagabond. Look it up. It's crazy. Another gentleman who passed away in the past couple of years was the designer of that. And I had Charles, who was a staple of the convention scene. He was an Aurora police officer, big, huge dude, right? And we got him playing Twister, like on a floor in a hotel room, because we had the annexes and all that where they'd move the beds out and you'd have all that. So here's a tabletop role-playing game, but I had 5 players playing Twister without a Twister board to get out of a dimensional reality spinning bar in the center of the universe. So playing Twister at cons happens. Kinda. Yeah. Yes. And that's, once again, that's Tribe, right? We can play like that and that was a Sunday morning game. No one is conscious for a Sunday morning game. And I think that the sleep deprivation is what allowed me to get them to that point. It was fantastic. Yeah. Sleep deprivation at cons. It's kind of weird. I'm actually missing that Sunday morning lag feeling because I haven't had that in a while. It's been same old. There's no up and down of wee. Life has been whoa. Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing to really worry about. I mean, because like I have noticed that since all of 2020, I spent mostly in this chair. I'm not going anywhere. And so when I started actually like moving around and doing things, I had like a photo shoot and I had to go out to a location and I had to carry my lights and I was carrying my camera and I was carrying everything.
You had to put on pants.
And I'm huffing and puffing the whole way. And I'm like, I had to put on pants and everything, but I was like huffing and puffing the whole way. And I'm like, I can totally tell that I have spent a year sitting, doing nothing. And so the conventions are going to be brutal. I mean, I'm going to jump right into NDK and I'm going to be running all over the Gaylord. And I'm sitting here going, well, that's going to be rough.
Talking about running all over. Here I am in this space, right? And I just came off the Game Manufacturers Association trade show, which normally is in the Peppermill Resort in Reno. And we usually get together at the end of talking business in this crazy bar that has a Choluli glass sculpture coming down and it goes out to the amazing pool and all this stuff. What they did is they used this program called Spatial Chat, and everyone should check this thing out. It's bizarre. You end up in a bubble and you're a video bubble and you kind of talk to everyone and you walk up to someone and you talk to them. But when you walk away, you no longer hear them, even though they're in the same room. You can be over here. And it actually works. So I'm actually going to try to run some role-playing games in this Spatial Chat environment coming up here, and we're going to be playing with it more. But you still are able to, we had a conga line of all these bouncing video heads. There was about 50 of us that did a conga line around the bar like we normally do at the trade show, but we did it virtually. What's fascinating to me is the technology that's now been developed. some of this is going to be great for conventions, because I'm looking at little conventions, 500-person cons, and I've been working on the whole media room thing for all the Shiny Garden conventions, so I'm kind of ahead of the curve, which is helpful to bring people who can't attend your con, maybe are unable to, maybe have an issue with being able to travel, disability, money issues, but they can still attend a convention virtually. And some of the equipment that we've now built almost makes you feel like you're there. I mean, it is that close. So that excites me to have virtual cons standalone. It's hard, but a hybrid model, yeah, I've got some ideas on that, and I think it's going to be fantastic. I really do.
That's an interesting idea. I am, when I have more internet coverage, apparently, I would like to try that.
I think
when my internet's not doing this number.
We haven't revealed anything about season 10 to the audience out there, but I think season 10 will take place in spatial chat.
I see.
We can still broadcast it. Yeah, we can still broadcast it through here, which is really cool. But we can do the game in spatial chat. So we will play with that guy. It is glorious.
Yeah, I'm actually interested.
That may be a hint. That may be a hint on season 10.
That is a hint. That and that's important too.
If there's someone operating the camera, I'd have them zoom in on me right now, but I don't. There's no Chelsea or Landauer here to operate the camera. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yes,
it's important. It's important.
Matthew, what are the other things that you can't wait for when we get things rolling again?
In all honesty, first con I go to, probably every con I go to, I'm probably not going to spend the first half of the first day actually doing anything. I'm going to just I'm going to go over to Minnie's area, and I'm going to talk with everybody for an hour or 2 hours and find out what's been going on in their world for the past year. Next thing you know, I'm going to go over into the dealer area, talk to those people, find out what they're doing. I'm going to go over to the RPG area, find out what they've been doing, what's going on with them. And I really, really, really want to reconnect with each and every one, because you guys know at these cons, it's not just one big event. It's a bunch of little micro events. And those little micro events, I really want to sit there and get down in each and every one of them and just talk again.
Yeah, I totally get that. I got a feeling
we're all going to be so downtimey on Thursday, Friday, rolling into these these things for the same reasons. We're all going to be like, we're just going to be like, hey, I can see people. You're real, because like everybody's virtual now in my world, except for my wife and my child. And it's like, so it'd be just wonderful to be able to see everybody again. The good news is I think that at least most of us will have been vaccinated-ish by July-ish, June and July-ish, that we could probably start being at game stores and starting to like practice, doing practice conventions. Yeah. Before the convention season
starts. My company is strongly suggesting it by actually they're prepping us to like get it at work. They're not going to screw around. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, let's get this done, people. Let's get this done.
Yep.
That we had
in Colorado, the age is now dropped to 50. And so I'm waiting for it to drop just a little more because I'm below 50, but I'm in the next group. So
we also need to appreciate how we're in the 21st century, right? I mean, gene sequencing got us this stuff in a year instead of 4 years, like every other thing that's ever hit us. And
Right.
we were still able to at least keep things functioning because of this. Man, it gives me actually hope for humanity. I mean, the 22nd century is going to be glorious because we're going to have a lot of this figured out. I mean, people are all down about everything, but man, the Spanish flu and World War I 100 years ago, it took a lot longer for things to figure it out. No, we're doing pretty good as humanity. People need to remember that, even with all the downtrodden for the past year.
Still no flying cars.
Oh,
No.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But considering how badly people
Yeah.
drive in like just a
Yeah,
two-dimensional.
the other thing
Don't
about
have my
flying cars is,
hoverboard.
do you really want drunk drivers going into the side of a building? I mean, just
I just want me to have a flying car.
fair enough. Fair
'Cause
enough.
I promise not to drink and drive because
I
don't do
just
that
I
anyway.
just want a car that I get into and say, please take me to that destination so I can get other stuff done while I'm in the commute.
Mhm. Elon's working on that.
Well, that's what Elon Musk has got going for you right there. He is almost there.
The problem is I also like four-wheeling in the mountains. So to make a truck do that, I mean, the Cybertruck, I'm like there. I'm so there. Yes. Drive me up to the mountains and then let me go four-wheeling. Yes, please.
Yep. So if you guys want to go to a place where somebody is already vaccinated, you can go to Kieran Games, who just informed us that they're vaccinated.
That's awesome.
So there. I'm just saying, since he's a sponsor,
Right. I need
So,
to dig. I need to dig
anyway.
through his bins of hero clicks so I can see if he has a Squirrel Girl. Because I only recently found out that they made a Squirrel Girl figure for hero clicks, and I'm like, I need a Squirrel Girl figure now to put into Zombie Side. So
yeah.
Those are the kind of goals that we have, and
Yes.
we all appreciate them. It's fantastic.
That's haven't had a Zombie Side party in a long time. I'm hoping to have a huge gaming party in September for all of my friends who have been vaccinated. And
I have this huge crazy table that I've had for almost a year now, and it's just kind of been
Well, that would be called NDK.
Yeah.
The table? Weird.
No.
Yeah.
God, his
It's
lag kills. It's so
does.
horrible.
Well, is your table vaccinated?
I'm having a hard time trying to jump in on this.
I hope it is. I lick it nightly.
Well, that's good. Yeah. As people should do with every
that's fair.
object in their house. So.
Yeah.
Right. My
See,
cat
we're
does
ending-
that. Why shouldn't anybody else?
Yeah. We're ending on licking stuff as opposed to ending on the very powerful quote. So that sums up Geek Tank for you.
That's apropos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Have you seen our show? Because that's what happened.
So since we're getting close to the end here, I will plug our show for next week. If things go according to plan, which we know probably won't, but we try, we are going to have other guests on the show, some friends, and we're going to be highlighting a free-to-play game called Counter-Strike. It's a first-person shooter game that you can get off of Steam. I actually played it back in the beta years and years and years ago, back when I actually played first-person shooter games, and only recently have been brought back into it now because my teenage son had said, "Hey, haven't you used to play this game?" So we will get to see us attempt to stop terrorists as counter-terrorists next week. So
that's our battle plan.
That's our battle plan.
Before we go, tell us a little bit how we can find you, Matthew.
So Gamers Giving, most people keep up with us on our Facebook page. So that's facebook.com/gamersgiving. And hopefully you guys will all see us at the cons coming up in this September.
There you go. And Dustin, what's your battle plan for coming up here? Shiny Garden's got a lot of things rolling in.
Oh, we got we got Druids and Dragons coming up in July. We're going to have registrations for that starting up in April, games starting up in May to sign up for. And then, of course, me as Rocky Mountain Games is always working on all of this other craziness around me. Easiest thing to do is follow Rocky Mountain Games on Facebook, and then also follow our 3 different conventions on Facebook for Shiny Garden: Druids and Dragons, Hexacon, and Whimsycon. And Guy is frozen.
Oh no! Now we're stuck here.
No, again.
And he looks so like just distant there, like longing.
He is. He's longing for the conventions.
Yes, yes.
You know what it is? You guys start talking about the conventions, and Guy he just froze because it was just it got to him that much.
Yeah. Yes, and then he's dead.
He just read one on us. Wow. Wow.
He's completely gone.
That's how it happens. I'm not sure how we turn this off without him, though. How about you?
I've got it handled on my end.
I'm glad you do.
So definitely, thank you very much for joining us, and looking forward to seeing the 2 of you at convention soon. And so I will end as we normally would. Oh, wait, he wants to come back in. Should I let him in? I guess I'll let him in.
Sure, why not?
I'll let him in. Now you're on the wrong side.
That look is classic.
That's right.
You should have seen this. It's like all over the place. It was zeroed out for a while there. Then all of a sudden it was like through the roof, then zeroed out, then through the roof. And I was like, well, and then it dumped me, and I was like, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like high school.
I took
again.
a picture.
Oh,
It's kind of hard to see.
God, that was harsh, Troy.
Like, it was a mess.
You always hurt the ones you love.
It's like high school.
No, I was going to sign you out.
He
but
does
since
that
you're
all the
back-
time to me. It's okay.
Since you're back, you can sign yourself
I've
out
gotten
now.
used to it.
You better do it fast though before it drops you.
Well, you may have to anyway, because I'm still seeing unstable. The only thing that I was really glad about was the one time that it froze, it managed to freeze while I went, and then I like disappeared. I was
It
like,
was good. It was good. It was perfect. Do not edit that out in post. You can never do that again.
Nope, that's staying. That was the best ever. Oh man. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. If you can hear me at all, I'm noticing we're back to wild and woolly over here. So if you can hear me, thank you both for joining us. And if Troy can click over there to the various control panels, then we can sign off by me saying, I've been Guy.
And I've been
And then
stalling
you can do
while
the
I try to
rest.
find the thing that you want me to click on. So I'm going to keep stalling until I find it here.
It's Brand.
And I've been Troy.
And this is Geek Tank.